There we are, the enduring image of the German Grand Prix. Rubens Barrichello, the Brazilian, just about the most emotional winner we have seen up there. His first Grand Prix victory at last. A reward for patience and a fair amount of bravery as well. Rubens Barrichello electing to stay out and triumphing as well.
Championship leader.
Got a feeling that that one will run and run. Tony, what's your spin on that? Hakkinen saying that it definitely favoured him, and David Coulthard being, well, diplomatic, I think.
I think he was being diplomatic. I mean, we have to look at it that McLaren have missed the chance of having one of their two drivers leading the Drivers' World Championship today. They're both behind. I find it amazing that Michael Schumacher is still leading the World Championship for drivers. It's great for the championship. It's not great for David Coulthard. And it's okay for Hakkinen because he's closed right up, you know, equal with David. But I mean, I am sure that David will go back to motorhome after and say, why couldn't I come in at the same time? Why couldn't I have queued up? Because, and the way he came back, rejoining sixth, and to get up to third like he did was a great effort from Coulthard.
What's your spin on it?
I think had David felt he'd been disadvantaged, he would have said so. I think we've got to take him at face value. He says, look, there was a communication error and I should have come in and I didn't do so. Because I couldn't hear properly, and then Mika came in, and I'm surprised they didn't know the safety car was out. McLaren have a dedicated team of people on the radio system, and I don't know why, but even I remember when I was driving there back in '94, it never seemed to work very well. If David's being diplomatic, then I'm surprised, because I think he would say something. We have to take him at face value on that.
Okay. It's a hard old world, F1, isn't it? But even hard-bitten old driver like you must have felt a bit of sentiment for your former teammate, Rubens Barrichello.
I was delighted for him, really was. I mean, Rubens matured through that year with, 2 years with Stewart. I think Jackie Stewart was a big calming influence on him, and he really matured into a top Grand Prix driver. Some of his performances early on this season I thought were not as good as I expected them to be. Remember, Michael lapped him once and virtually lapped him another time in Imola. And Rubens just didn't seem to be on it at all. But what thrills me about today for Rubens is he won the race. He went and took the race. He didn't luck into it. He didn't reverse into it, inherit the lead or whatever. He went out and won that Grand Prix from 18th on the grid. I mean, I'm not surprised he was howling his eyes out on the grid. I'd have done the same. On the podium, I'd have done the same thing.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks for the moment. We will be right back to look at some of the key moments of a fascinating German Grand Prix. Quite typically, I've just heard that Rubens Barrichello has dedicated his fantastic victory here to Ayrton Senna. Let's have a look at the start, shall we? Tony, Rubens not involved, but another Ferrari was around there, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is not a revenge by David Coulthard, but he did the one move, and he did exactly what Schumacher had done to him at the French Grand Prix. Moved across to protect, but while he did that, ironically, there was a huge hole in the centre, opened up, and of course Hakkinen went through. But what happened there was you saw Schumacher immediately switch sides when Coulthard went across him, and went to the outside of the track, to the racing line where there was more grip. Right behind him was Fisichella, and Fisichella had nowhere to go. You know, there's no way the guy could slow down, in my opinion, anyway. Well, not according, okay, he should have seen me, he should have slowed down. But the fact is that Schumacher then came right across in front of Fisichella. And you see again here, because Schumacher's already had to move, here's Giancarlo, hard on the brakes, taps him there, and of course the inevitable happens, and off he goes. But Giancarlo Fisichella, who's had a great finishing this record this year, straight in there, and the wheel coming off and so on. You can see the rear view of it. Now look at Hakkinen, makes a wonderful stop, but look at the gap he's got there as David goes across to protect, and that's perfectly legitimate with the one move. And I thought that was a fabulous move by David Coulthard, but it sacrificed a little bit of timing for him while he was concentrating on doing that, and off Hakkinen goes into that gap.
Martin, we're used to pitch invasions and things like that and the odd streaker here and there in other sports, but loonies on the circuit in motor racing is a new one on me anyway.
Well, he could have killed himself, almost certainly would kill a driver if he ran into him. I mean, I guess we'll try and get this guy in as our studio guest in Budapest or something and find out what he's up to.
I don't think we'll bother,
I think he's had a few too many Kleiners beers or something, but that is just crazy. It's bizarre. I've never seen that before. They the stewards or the race director, Charlie Whiting, did the only thing he could, pull out the safety car and clear the
Changed
nutter
the whole
out of
race,
the way.
though, didn't it?
It did change the whole race. There'll be a few people wondering if he was working for Ferrari or something, or if he's Brazilian in nationality, but it's just bizarre, and what can you do about it? I mean, you can't close the place down and have it like being inside a prison here.
Yeah.
Jim, I was just going to say very quickly there, why some stewards come out and talk to him or rugby tackle him or get him off, because as Martin said, he could have thrown himself under a car.
I'm not sure with all those cars flashing around, Tony. Anyway, we're going to have a word now with, apart from Rubens Barrichello, it has to be man of the race, doesn't he? Jenson Button, here he is, worked his way right the way through the field, and he's chatting now to Louise.
Jenson, brilliant result for you, but I'm going to take you back to the beginning first of all, the bit that didn't go quite so well.
Not really. I stalled on the grid just as the lights were coming on, the red lights, going off for the formation lap. The engine cut out, so a bit of a mad panic with all the mechanics and everything, and they got me going. And I had to start in 23rd position, so it was a bit of a shame, but it ended up well, so I think I might start from the back next time, from choice more than not very good qualifying. So we're very happy. Obviously the team did an excellent job in the pit stops, and hopefully we can repeat this again.
It's his most successful ever drive. My guess he'll be in a Benetton next season. That's how it looks now. Then just a couple of points in it. 54 apiece to Coulthard and Häkkinen, 2 behind Schumacher. Rubens Barrichello moving up to within 10 points of the leader. And there's the constructors with McLaren. Remember, they lost those 10 points. 4 now behind Ferrari, BMW and Benetton, 3rd and 4th. OK, a lot to discuss in our highlights programme later on tonight. Be sure to join us for that. Highlight show coming you just before midnight, repeated on ITV2 at 7 o'clock on Monday in a couple of weeks' time, with the championship really boiling up. Off we go to Hungary, qualifying live 11:30, the race live 12:15, highlights later on. Thanks to you both. Brilliant day for Rubens Barrichello. Well, McLaren, they'll wonder, though, about not asking David Coulthard to queue up for his petrol. I'll night you all.
F1 on ITV in association with Texaco.
If you would like to know more about Formula One,